Hello everyone, welcome to Physics online classes for class 11 students. Let us continue chapter 4 motion in a plane. Today we are going to study about centripetal acceleration. See here, in the previous class we studied the basic terms related to uniform circular motion. We studied what is angular displacement, angular velocity as well as angular acceleration, and also relation between them we studied in the previous class. Using those terms, now we can study the details of centripetal acceleration. Now let us start the class. So first we have to know what is centripetal acceleration. Centripetal acceleration is also called as a radial acceleration. We know the definition of acceleration. Acceleration is rate of change of velocity. But here it is which acceleration? Centripetal acceleration. It is related to circular motion. For example, if you are going to consider the particle A, this particle is moving in a straight line with velocity v. When I applied force at this point, if I am going to apply force at this point, now this particle will change its position because of this applied force. Again this particle starts to move in a straight line. But when we applied force, again it will change its path. Again it will start to move in a straight line with certain velocity, but when I applied force, again it will change its direction. In this way, at each point we are going to apply force, so it will get circular motion. Now you can observe the applied force. It is along the radius. This is the center of the circle. The applied force is along the radius towards the center. This is radius. The applied forces are along the radius and towards the center. So we are going to call it as centripetal force, and the acceleration is called centripetal acceleration. Is it clear? So when we applied force at these points, then only the object changes its direction. There is a continuous change in the direction of the particle because of applied force. This applied force is along the radius towards the center, so we can call it as centripetal. Centripetal means petal means towards the center. Centripetal acceleration is also called as radial acceleration. How to define centripetal acceleration? The acceleration produced in the particle in uniform circular motion, which is acting along radius and towards the center of circular path. How it is acting here? So this centripetal acceleration or acceleration, it is acting along the radius towards the center of the circular path. So we can call it as centripetal acceleration, and the force is called centripetal force. Is it clear? So now we can derive an expression for centripetal acceleration. Yes, we considered a particle. This particle is moving in a circular path of radius r. It is having constant speed v and uniform angular velocity omega. Because it is not moving in a straight line, it is moving in a circular path. So we should consider angular velocity omega. Let the particle is moving from A to B in a time interval t. Theta is the small angular displacement made by radius vector. Yes, now you can observe this picture. We considered the particle and it is traveling or it is moving from A to B. This is moving from A to B. It is having uniform speed or constant speed v. So this is having constant speed v, which is along AC. This is constant speed. But because of applied force, it is changing its direction. It is moving in a curved path with angular velocity omega. It is having angular velocity omega. Now here at point B, again it will start to move in a straight line. But because of applied force, it changes its direction and so on. Now we can consider vector v. V is a velocity. Right? So this velocity I am going to divide into two components because we already studied A vector is divided into two components. Resolution of a vector we already studied in this chapter. Motion in a plane. When a vector is split into two components, then we can call it as resolution of a vector. The first vector is along x-axis, second vector is along y-axis. Along x-axis we can take the component v cos theta. Along y-axis we can take the component v sin theta. V cos theta and v sin theta, these are the x and y component of vector v. What we did here? We split a vector v into two components and they are v cos theta and v sin theta. V cos theta is along b to d. V sin theta is we can take along b to e. Then angle between this particle AOB, that gives angular displacement. This is angle. Angle is made by the particle from the axis of rotation, right? The velocity at B is resolved into two components. V cos theta is parallel to AC. V sin theta is parallel to AO. Observe this diagram. V cos theta, this is parallel to AC. Then V sin theta, it is parallel to AO. Observe this diagram here. These components are parallel to AC and AO. When the particle moves from A to B, now we can take a change in velocity parallel to AC. Change in velocity parallel to AC. We can take this component V cos theta. V cos theta here, BD is parallel to AC. Change in velocity means final velocity minus initial velocity. So we can write V cos theta minus V. Observe here, V cos theta minus V. That gives a change in velocity. V cos theta minus V, or we can write here in place of cos theta. Theta is very small. Since theta is very small, so we can neglect the trigonometric function cos. So for small angle means we can consider cos theta equal to 1. This is the smallest angle. For small value of theta, cos theta equal to 1. Cos theta equal to 1 means theta equal to how much? Theta equal to 0 degree. Because cos 0 is 1. For small angle, we will get the answer. Here you can observe V minus V. V minus V means in place of cos theta, theta is very small. So we can consider cos theta equal to 1. V into 1 is V minus V. V minus V means 0. This is a change in velocity when it is parallel to AC. Similarly, we can consider, this is first point. In the second point, we can consider change in velocity parallel to AO. Parallel to AO is which component? V sin theta. So we can write V sin theta minus from A to O. What is the velocity from A to O? It is 0. It is initially, it is at rest. So from A to O means we can take it as 0. So V sin theta minus 0. Again theta is very small. So here we can consider sin theta equal to theta, because here it is given the angle between AOB is theta. So V in place of sin theta is equivalent to theta when it is theta is very small. When theta is small, sin theta is equivalent to theta. So substitute here V theta minus 0. V theta minus 0 means we will get V theta. This is the two condition. In the first case, we solved change in velocity parallel to AC, then change in velocity parallel to AO. Now we can consider acceleration along AO is equal to change in velocity parallel to AO divided by time. Right? So change in acceleration means what? Rate of change of velocity. Acceleration along AO means from this point A to O. At this point, acceleration is rate of change of velocity. So change in velocity parallel to AO divided by time. So acceleration is denoted by A. is equal to, in place of change in velocity parallel to AO. Here you can observe change in velocity parallel to AO means we can take this equation 2 here. Equation 2 substitute here v theta divided by t. But we know that omega equal to theta divided by t, rate of change of displacement. So in place of theta by t we can write omega, a equal to v omega, or a equal to v into, in place of omega what we can write? We know this equation, v equal to r omega, omega equal to v divided by r. So this relation we already derived in the previous class. So in place of omega we can write v by r. V into v is v square. So we will get a equal to v square by r, or we can write omega square into r. Omega square into r means what here? A equal to v square divided by r. V equal to r square omega square divided by r. One r will get cancelled. So remaining is omega square r. So this is an expression for centripetal acceleration, right? Then vector form of equation 1, a equal to v omega. In terms of vector form means we can write vector a equal to vector v into vector omega, because all these three terms are vector quantity. So we can say that centripetal acceleration is equal to cross product of linear velocity and angular velocity. Cross product of linear velocity and angular velocity, that gives centripetal acceleration. Then we can study non-uniform circular motion. So till now we studied uniform circular motion where it is having uniform velocity. But now we can study vertical circular motion. Vertical circular motion or non-uniform circular motion. Yes. The circular motion of a body with a variable speed is called non-uniform circular motion. If the object is moving with a different velocity in the circular path, then we can call it as non-uniform circular motion. In non-uniform circular motion, magnitude and directions of velocity of the body changes. Magnitude and directions are changing because it is non-uniform circular motion. So because of changing velocity, due to this, the acceleration produced in the body, and this acceleration is resolved into two components. Because we know that acceleration is rate of change of velocity. Change in velocity divided by time, that gives acceleration. Here, because of non-uniform speed, there is a change in velocity, so we will get some acceleration. That acceleration is resolved into two components, right? And they are tangential acceleration, radial acceleration. Which are the two components here? One is tangential acceleration, another one is radial acceleration. Tangential, it is acting along the tangent line. Radial, it is acting along the radius of the circle. Tangential acceleration, radial acceleration, these are the two components of acceleration. The tangential component of acceleration is due to change in magnitude of velocity. Change in magnitude of velocity. When its velocity changes, then we can take tangential component. Then radial component or centripetal component of acceleration is due to change in direction of the body. Here we know that magnitude and directions of velocity are changing. Magnitude is changing means we can take the component tangential acceleration. For direction we can take radial acceleration or centripetal acceleration. You can observe this diagram. This is a circular path and the object is moving with a different velocity. So we can take A is a vector. This vector is resolved into two components, tangential component and radial component. Tangential component is due to change in magnitude. Radial component is due to change in direction. So these are the two components of acceleration. Now we can say that magnitude of resultant acceleration is given by, we already know the equation for resultant vector a equal to square root of ax square plus ay square. So the same formula we can use here. A equal to square root of at square plus ac square. At square means this is tangential acceleration. AC square means this is radial or centripetal acceleration. Right? Or we can write it as A equal to square root of, in place of AT we can write rate of change of velocity dv by dt whole square, plus here AC square, it is a centripetal acceleration or radial acceleration. Just now we derived an equation for centripetal acceleration, A equal to v square by r. So here we can write v square divided by r whole square. Right? In place of AT, we can write rate of change of velocity. In place of centripetal acceleration, we can write its final equation v square by r. Substitute here. AT is dv by dt. This is a tangential acceleration. AC means centripetal acceleration v square by r. So this is radial acceleration or centripetal acceleration. Right? So this is the expression for non-uniform circular motion acceleration. Then similarly, direction of resultant acceleration is given by, we know the formula tan theta equal to q divided by p. So this formula we already studied. So here in place of q we can write tangential acceleration divided by centripetal acceleration, or alpha equal to tan inverse of AT divided by AC. This gives direction. Then we can illustrate uniform circular motion with one example. Horizontal circular motion. See here, this is vertical circular motion. Vertical circular motion, or we can also call it as a non-uniform circular motion. Similarly, we can study now horizontal circular motion with one example, like we can consider conical pendulum. I am going to consider conical pendulum. With this example, we can study horizontal circular motion. Yes, a simple pendulum consisting of a small heavy bob attached to a light inextensible string revolving in a horizontal circular motion about the vertical axis, such that the string traces out a cone, and this is called conical pendulum. See here, we considered a small heavy bob. We can take at point B, there is a small heavy bob. This bob is attached to light inextensible string, or you can take a thread. Thread is connected from O to the pendulum B. Right? Then when this pendulum starts to move in a horizontal circular path and it traces out a cone, we will get a cone form, so we can call it as conical pendulum. See here, when we applied some force, it starts to move, or it will starts to oscillate. If this is a stand, this is a bomb, when I applied force, it starts to move in this direction. Right? When we complete, we will get a conical form here, so we can call it as conical pendulum. Right? Now you can observe this diagram. We considered L as length of the pendulum. What is L? L is length of the pendulum, that is distance between point of suspension and center of gravity. Then H is axial height of the cone. What is H? H is axial height of the cone. M is mass of the bob. T is tension in the string. Tension, it is also a type of a force, right? So when the bob is attached to the string or a thread, when we apply the force, the bob starts to oscillate. It will moving in a circular path. So now you can observe the thread. Thread has a certain vibrations. That vibrations are itself tension in the string. It is a force, but it is moving in the, that force is in the opposite direction. So we will get some vibrations in the string, that is tension. R is radius of horizontal circular path. What is R? Horizontal circular path radius. Here it is R. V is uniform speed of the bob. Omega is uniform angular speed of the bob. T is a time period of revolution of the conical pendulum. What is time period? Time taken to complete one rotation. Then g is acceleration due to gravity. Is it clear about the diagram? Yes. Now you can observe the forces on the bob are. How many forces are acting on the bob? See here, there are two forces acting on the bob. One is its weight. Weight means W equal to mg. Right? W equal to mg. It is acting vertically downward. This is also a force. Then another one is a tension. It is also a type of force. We can take it as a T dash. Tension in the string is vertically upward. W equal to mg. Weight of the bob is vertically downward. Tension in the string is vertically upward. You can observe. Suppose if I am going to consider the bob at point A, its weight is acting vertically downward, W equal to mg. Tension in the string is acting along the thread. Let us take it as a T dash. Now, I am going to resolve this T into two components. Right? This is T dash. I am going to resolve T dash into two components. One is along x-axis, another one is along y-axis. Right? This is minus x-axis, this is plus y-axis. So now we can consider their components are t cos theta. Here we will get t cos theta and this is t sin theta. T dash cos theta, t dash sin theta, they are the components of tension. The component t dash cos theta, it will balance weight of bob, that is mg, because you can observe this diagram. T dash cos theta is vertically upward. W equal to mg vertically downward. Both are along the vertical direction, but they are in the opposite direction. One is downward, another one is upward, so that this bob reaches equilibrium position. Because upward and downward forces are equal in magnitude, opposite in direction. So T dash cos theta balances weight, whereas T dash sin theta, this component, it will provide the necessary centripetal force, because when a body is moving in a circular path, it requires centripetal force. If there is a centripetal force, then only the particle will move in a circular path. So now the bob is moving in a circular path, means there is a centripetal force, and who is providing that centripetal force? This component T dash sin theta will provide centripetal force so that the bob is moving along a horizontal circular path. Now I am going to write, you can observe equation 1. The component T dash cos theta is equal to weight. Both are in a vertical direction, equal and opposite. Then T dash sin theta will provide necessary centripetal force. Centripetal force is denoted by Fc is equal to mv square divided by r. This is the expression for centripetal force. Centripetal acceleration is v square divided by r. Is it clear? Centripetal acceleration is v square by r. Centripetal force is mv square divided by r. Here in the second equation, centripetal force is given by the component T dash sin theta. So we can write T dash sin theta equal to mv square by r. Let us take it as equation 2. Now dividing equation 2 divided by equation 1. So divide these two equations. T dash and T dash will get cancelled. Remaining is sin theta divided by cos theta. Here also m will get cancelled. Remaining is v square divided by r into g. Sin by cos is tan theta equal to v square by rg. Let us take it as equation 3. Now I am going to consider the triangle OCA. Observe the diagram. The triangle OCA, here it is. Right? When we consider the triangle OCA, what is the value of tan theta? OCA. Where is the angle? Angle is theta here. This is angle theta. Tan theta equal to opposite side divided by adjacent side. This is opposite side. This is adjacent side. This is hypotenuse. Tan theta equal to O by A. O by A means what to write here? This is radius. A means height. So we can write R divided by H. radius divided by height, that gives tan theta. Or from equation 3 and 4, you can observe tan theta equal to V square by Rg, tan theta equal to R by H. Their LHS is same, tan theta and tan theta. So we can write from equation 3 and 4, RHS side is V square divided by Rg equal to R by H. Or we can write it as R square omega square divided by Rg equal to R by H, because V equal to what? R omega. V square equal to R square omega square. Or omega square equal to 1R will get cancelled here. So this R will get cancelled. So R term will get cancelled. So omega square equal to G divided by H. So we want omega equal to square root of G by H. Omega means what here? Angular velocity. Omega equal to theta divided by T. When that bob completes one rotation, so theta equal to 2 pi radian, that is 360 degree. So 2 pi divided by time taken to complete one rotation. It means time interval becomes a time period. So in place of omega, we can write 2 pi by T equal to square root of G by H. Or we want T value T equal to 2 pi into root of H divided by G. So this gives an expression for time period of revolution of the conical pendulum. This is just one example for horizontal circular motion. Now, from the triangle OCA, observe again the same diagram from the triangle OCA. Let us find the value of cos theta. Theta is here. Cos theta equal to A divided by H, adjacent side divided by H, that is hypotenuse. So cos theta equal to, we can write H divided by L, or H equal to L cos theta. So now in place of cos theta equal to H equal to, we got L cos theta. So in this equation 5 is what? 2 pi root of H by G. In place of H, we can write L cos theta. So substitute here. So we will get T equal to 2 pi square root of L cos theta divided by G. So this is an expression for time period of revolution of the conical pendulum. So this completes the circular motion. In circular motion, we studied the basic terms related to circular motion, and we derived centripetal acceleration for uniform and as well as for non-uniform circular motion. And this is last one example related to conical pendulum. So this completes theoretical part of motion in a plane.